everyone. Welcome back to the broadcast. My name is Suze, also known as Suze Creamy. With me, as always, are my beautiful, bigoted co-hosts, Ash, also known as Unacceptable Views, and Tammy, also known as Unacceptable Canadian Girl. Ladies, how are you doing this evening?
I'm doing excellent.
Am excellent.
Uh-oh,
Excellent,
I picked your word.
You bitch. I'm glad you both are doing excellent this evening. Also, a special hello to our wonderful Jamie, who's over there rolling my joints, also known as Perception Correction. Jamie, how is it going?
It's going good. It's going good. 3 joints deep. I'm excited to listen to you 3 badass broads talk about today's topic. So I'll just keep rolling the spliffs and I'll chime in when needed.
Nice. That was my next question. I wanted to know how many joints you had rolled already. So keep them going. Keep them going. All right.
Yep.
So I just wanted to mention quickly that unfortunately I am still sick. I'm not sure why, but so I may bust out in like coughing frenzy. If you guys see me, muting frantically, please take those reins and
Hey.
fill in the gaps while I'm coughing.
It's because you're an unvaccinated plague rat.
Obviously. Obviously. I'm going to go get my 17 boosters right after this.
Yeah, if you had all your boosters, your symptoms would have been so much better.
So much better. So much better. Anyway, we all know that's a crock shit. But anyways, okay. Today, as Jamie said, he's very excited for this topic. We are going to have a chat about the big old lie we've been sold, feminism.
Boo.
Boo. Boo. Personally, myself, after all the years this movement has been pushed and all the different waves it's been through, if anything, the scam has now taken women, in my opinion, so far backwards, trying to erase them. It's legit batshit crazy. We're we're literally fighting to keep our most basic rights. For example, to feel fucking safe in a damn change room or public washroom. Or the right to be called a woman instead of a fucking uterus holder.
Bonus hole.
Or a bonus hole. Right? It's fucking crazy.
Chest feeder.
Chest feeder, yes, that one. For fuck's sakes. So I wanted to ask you ladies quick, just your quick kind of overall thoughts on feminism as a whole before I take you down the roller coaster ride I wanted to of the different waves of feminism. Fucking waves. Why is everything waves? I'm getting COVID variant flashbacks now.
I think it's a scam. I think it's a tax scam. And we've been sold a lie.
I agree.
It's just another way for the government to make more money. And we bought it hook, line, and sinker.
We sure did. We sure did. Ash?
And I'm embarrassed. As a woman, I just want to say, before we get into this, I am so embarrassed by the women that are embracing it and protesting in the streets about it and all the other bullshit. Not all of us are idiots. That is all.
That is all. We're not all idiots. Ash, what are your quick thoughts, overall thoughts?
I'm in agreement, and I just feel that women have been kind of led down this path to becoming toxic. We're told about these toxic men, but there are women out there who are actually more toxic than their counterparts in the men's world, and so it's taken a really, really ugly turn. And I am also embarrassed, and not only embarrassed, I'm fucking pissed because I was sold a lie, and I have lived my life according to something that was shoved down my throat as a young girl, and it has cost me some life choices that I chose not to make because I was trying to be a progressive woman, particularly not having children, and I was kind of brainwashed into thinking that I'm not just a baby maker. I deserve to have a career. I deserve to be treated just the same as men. And I think it's a very empty goal in the end. And I'm mad about it.
I get that. I totally get that. I'm gonna talk a little later about like new feminism, and that's kind of where I feel like I fall into. And it will probably sort of circle back to like kind of what you're saying now.
Yeah,
Can
I have
I-
some interesting thoughts about this whole thing.
Can I, just before we get started, can I also mention, just because Ash, you said there's like some toxic women out there. Do you guys know who Angela Belcamino is?
No.
The name's familiar, but I don't.
Oh, so she's on. I don't even want to. I don't really
Sounds
want to
like a
give her the
shitty
attention.
car.
Yeah, well, she's a
El
shitty
Camino.
person. She's on Twitter and she, oh my gosh, every day does these ridiculous posts about how she's a bold lib and she's a woman who doesn't need children and la la la. And it's so like it makes me want to barf.
I think I know.
And her post a day ago, but she retweets her own post for whatever reason, is my biological clock is ticking, but I'm not done bold libbing. And then she does these videos where she walks towards the camera like she's some special human, and she's not.
Jamie's put them up. Jamie put them up.
Yes, thank you,
She was
Jamie.
literally bold walking towards.
Fun. I'm getting older and I'm running out of time to have kids, and it's scary. Some days I just look in the mirror and I'm like, oh my God.
I didn't know that audio would appear here. But anyways, my bad.
That's okay. No, that's okay.
No, that's good.
It's so embarrassing. Anyway, sorry, Suze, you go ahead. I wanted to bring her up before I forgot, because to me, she
is toxic,
encompasses that toxic female thing.
Absolutely. Yeah, I can see that.
And what I think too is that these toxic women are embodying the same ugly traits that they were pushing back against men for.
Mm-hmm.
But they're more rabid because they don't actually have the teeth to stand up physically to back what they're actually saying. I mean, women are smaller than men, and so they're actually more rabid because it's like a little dog, right? Who barks more and is more aggressive than a bigger dog in certain circumstances, because you have to be louder and shittier to appear, well, crazy and scary.
I love the comparison, Ash. I love the comparison. Makes complete sense. But no, you're absolutely right. There's so many toxic women out there that, like you said, 100% are worse than a lot of the men that they were fighting against. I agree with that. 100%. So let's talk about the waves. Good old waves. You know, everything's in waves. You know, over the years, society has seen, apparently, 4 waves of feminism. So the first wave started in 1848 and took us all the way through to 1920. It was a call for, greater political, economic, and cultural freedom and equality for women. Now, not all the different movements pursued kind of the same specific goals or used the same approaches. So it's common to hear that the movement divided into these 4 waves. So this wave specifically began in July of 1848 with a declaration of sentiments signed, which affirmed women's equality with men and passed a dozen resolutions calling for various specific rights, like, for example, the right to vote. So then in 1920, the principal goal of the first wave was fulfilled by granting white women the right to vote. So Black women and other women of color faced continued obstacles until the passage of the Voting Rights Act, which was in 1965. So these women that were, fighting for women's rights obviously didn't give a fuck about colored women. And only about themselves. But ladies, I have a question, because I've seen people post about this since my time on Twitter. Do you think women should be able to vote? I'm asking because I've seen many men actually on Twitter say, for example, that we shouldn't because we're too emotional. We aren't logical when we vote. We vote with our feelings. etc. I remember seeing one person even said like that the only women that should vote should be women who own property, like own a house, etc. So I wanted to know your thoughts as women. Then I may ask Jamie. So be careful, Jamie, because you're surrounded by women right now. Anyways, go ahead, ladies.
You go first, Ash.
I mean, I question it someday. That's for sure. Definitely question some of these women who are voting out there, and I don't know if they should have the right to vote. But ultimately, yes, I think that we should have the right to vote. But I just don't think that at the moment. I wish that there was maybe a little bit more critical thinking involved and not so much emotion, because a lot of women tend to be getting caught up in the weaponized compassion and not thinking completely about the whole topic. And even if you were to question them about their reasonings or their motives, it kind of gets shut down in the area of compassion for others, which seems nice, but I don't know that it's very well rounded out. But definitely, I think women should be able to vote. I don't know if any of us should be voting anymore, though. I think democracy is a sham. So maybe I'm a little too jaded to even talk about voting.
I agree. I do think that there are some women that maybe shouldn't be voting, but I also think that there's a lot of men out there that probably shouldn't be voting either. It's almost like we should all be given like you should have to pass some fucking test. If you can't pass this test, you can't vote.
Literally just stole my answer. Sorry.
Oh, I'm sorry, Jamie. I'm sorry. You can just come back and say it again.
Okay, bye.
Tammy, what do you think?
I am probably the wrong person to ask because I don't think that our votes make a difference. I think it is a selection process versus an election process.
I agree.
That
Big
said,
podcast.
yeah, exactly. That said, I do believe that women should be able to vote. I think that we all live in a country together, and I think it's only fair to let all of the citizens, or most of the citizens at least, to vote. Obviously, children know, maybe people with like maybe chicks with dicks shouldn't be allowed to vote because they're probably a little
crazy.
not mentally right.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, I think overall anybody that lives in a country should have the right to vote.
What are your thoughts? I'm just curious. What are your thoughts on like permanent residence? Let's say someone never got their citizenship. They've been here for like 40 years. Should they be allowed to vote? I'll tell you why I'm asking. Would you like to know why I'm asking?
Yeah.
My mother is not a citizen of Canada. She is not a Canadian citizen. She has been in this country as a permanent resident for 48 years.
Wow.
And she's not allowed to vote.
Hmm.
And a lot of these, like these politicians and the, stuff they put in place affects her life as well, right? And she's been here almost 50 years. Now, yes, she can go get her citizenship, whatever. And now, because of the state the country's in, she's like, fuck that. I don't want to be Canadian. Fuck that. Like, I don't blame her anymore.
Yeah, like, I mean, I think she's been here long enough, obviously you're kind of a citizen when you've been here that long. The only issue I have really with, I really don't have any issues with the whole immigration thing and coming here and being able to vote and stuff like that. My only issue is don't come here and expect us to change our shit for you.
Mm-hmm. No, I agree.
So you, right? Like you basically, if you're going to come here and you want the right to vote and to do all of the things, then you come here and you be Canadian. Don't tell me that you didn't like your country, come here and then try to make our country like yours, because that's exactly what's happening to Canada right now. That is all.
Exactly. Yeah. Jamie, your thoughts, Jamie?
Never thought about this in my life. And as you said, you might call on me. In my head, the answer popped in. There should be a test. You have to take a test to drive. You have to take a test to whatever, get into a university. Lots of tests in society to accomplish things. It would just be not the craziest test in the world. Something like, I don't know, 20 questions, Scantron. Have to get whatever mark to be decided. And then if you pass that, you're allowed to vote. That's my answer. Whether it be male, female, whatever.
Almost like a test to just prove
like
that you have the capability of dissecting the issues and actually making an informed decision rather than just deciding because you like fucking Justin Trudeau's hair or whatever bullshit.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Or because you think he's cute or like so.
Yeah, exactly. Something stupid like that. Like no, I'm sorry, but
That's
no.
my mother. That's my mother.
Oh God, Tammy's mom, why?
I know. So
The only thing is
embarrassing.
those
Anyway.
tests will be created by Trudeau. So,
Yeah.
you know, they'll be
Yeah. That's true.
biased
true.
in a certain direction. I don't know. That gets into weird, murky territory, I think.
True. Very, very true.
Jamie,
All right.
thoughts on that?
Not really any thoughts.
Okay, go roll more join.
Thank you.
All right, let's start off the second wave. Second wave started in 1963 and took us to the 1980s. In my opinion, this is when they really started to push the idea onto women that, you know, toxic masculinity, for example, is prevalent and that the patriarchy must be dismantled, right? So in 1963, a lady named Betty Friedan published a book called The Feminine Mystique, which argued that women were chafing against the confines of their roles as wives and mothers. The book.
Oh, there's Betty right there.
Oh, good old Betty. The book was a massive success. It sold about 3 million copies over the course of 3 years and launched what became known as the second wave of feminism. So this wave of feminists called for a reevaluation of traditional gender roles in society and an end to sexist discrimination. This wave also included, you know, the passage of the Equal Pay Act and the Supreme Court's decisions related to the reproductive freedom. So, for example, the Wade versus Roe case. This wave was also heavily influenced by a woman named Gloria Steinem, who conveniently, get ready for this, had ties with the CIA. She worked on a movement that specifically created a hateful strain of Black feminism Black feminism that attacks Black men. You know, all while partnering with the good old CIA. So they were already succeeding in dividing white men and white women. And now they were focusing on dividing Black men and women. And we all know involved the CIA, and you sure as hell cannot trust anything to do with that. So how do you guys feel about the second wave, the, you know, equal pay, the right to abort babies? Again, you know, in the US, I think it was June of 2022, the Supreme Court did overturn the Roe versus Wade case, you know, stating that there was no longer a federal constitutional right to an abortion. But back during the second wave, they were all for go ahead, abort all the babies you need too. Thoughts?
I would say that I think that wave is the one that kind of started the I'd say it was kind of the one that was co-opted by the same toxic collectivist neo-Marxist ideologies that have now overtaken what used to be the gay movement and has turned into the LGBTQIA LMNOP plus minus divided character salad. I don't think the feminist movement could be as successfully overtaken by the neo-Marxist beliefs as the LGBTQ blah, 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 because heterosexual couples have historically learned how to work together as a team, not only despite our differences, but because of them. And we have traits that typically complement each other. So I think that there was an attempt, and I'll say, of course, it was successful in some ways because there are a lot of, like I said earlier, very rabid women out there who have fallen prey to the feminist movement, and it's gotten worse since then. But I think that kind of, I mean, I wasn't around when that wave started, but I feel like when it started dividing the men and the women in that way, it kind of, there are some women who saw that and said, no, wait a minute, like I don't feel that way. I think we work together well with men. So I think in a way that's when the division started between like the radical feminists and then just women who, you know, maybe didn't see it quite that way.
Yeah, I can see that.
Mm-hmm.
Amy?
So I agree with the equal pay thing, provided that, you know, a woman is capable of doing a man's job. We're not always. But you know, if a woman is able to do the same job as a man, absolutely she should get paid the same.
I agree.
But I'm also smart enough to know that we can't do all the things that men can. And, you know, these people that, or these women that think that we can are stupid.
Yep.
Just going to call a spade a spade.
Exactly.
And then in terms of the abortion, so, oh boy, I do not agree with abortion. That said, I am pro freedom. And it's a weird spot to be on because I have the belief that everybody should be able to decide to do what they want to do with their own body.
Mm-hmm.
My stance on it is I do not agree with abortion, but I am not your judge. And at the end of the day, you will have to answer for what you've done.
Right.
So, you know, I definitely, I don't agree with it. But like I said, you have to be able to make your own choices. And, you know, I think ultimately at some point we're going to answer to, I don't know, somebody for that. Yeah, I guess that's really my stance on it. I think that, we need men.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
We do.
And I think we've gotten to a really weird spot in time where women are almost afraid to say that. And I don't get it because as a woman, like I would want to be with somebody that protected me and made me feel safe and, you know, was stronger than me and could do the things. Right. So I don't really understand women that don't want that and just want to do everything for themselves. Like, you know, why wouldn't you even just want kind of that teamwork or somebody there that, like Ashley said, like you complement each other, right? So maybe, you know, you're good with one thing and your significant other is good with another thing, but when you come together, right, it's kind of that perfect match, if that makes sense.
Yeah. I mean, that's how I kind of see it. It's like some form of a perfect union. There is, you know, like the masculine and the feminine. And it doesn't mean that men only have masculine traits and women only have feminine traits. We have a whole variety and a whole range of different traits, you know, as individuals. But I think find your, like, if you're lucky enough, you can find a match that perfectly complement a lot of those traits that you have in sort of a yin yang, you know, whatever, partnership. And that's what makes, like, I don't know, there's so many comedians out there, right, who the men joke about the women, my wife, blah blah, and then the female comedians will joke about their boyfriends or their husbands. And it's a funny thing because we all understand that there's a lot of work that goes into being part of a team with someone of the opposite sex, because we don't always see things the same way. We react differently. But then that also becomes like this sort of beautiful, funny, messy, I don't know, like it's like a work of art when it works out. And you can feel good about like accomplishing something together when you figure out how to make things work together, because you don't see things the same way. And so
Yeah, and
that's
I would imagine also, like, you being this, I'm empowered and I can do it all by myself. Like, isn't that kind of lonely? Like, I feel like aren't
That's
you gonna be
pretty lonely.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's very lonely. And like I also don't, love the douchebag thing, like the dudes that go to the gym and like they're just basically meatheads. And there's nothing wrong with going to the gym. I think that is great. But
Mhm.
like the ones that are just total meatheads that have no brains, like you can go to the
Chads.
gym, but then but you can also read books and have some intelligence and whatever, right? So I think it's like kind of a spectrum thing where like I don't love the one end and I don't love the super feminine end either, but like that mix in the middle of just somebody who is intelligent, stronger than me, takes
Mhm.
care of themselves, right? But without being a total douchebag.
Yeah. I
Yeah.
agree.
And like, I never believed that women could do the same things as men physically, because
No.
I'm a tough chick and I tried, to be the same as men physically, but I'm not an idiot. So it's clearly impossible. I can't
Yeah.
match the physical strength of men. I mean, I used to, when I was in elementary school, I was the king shit of mercy fights. I took every guy down.
Oh
I
yeah.
used to love
I
those.
was the best. I was the best in school. And then they hit puberty.
Awesome.
And that was
And
it.
then you're
you
like,
know,
ah,
like-
shit.
and
Well,
I
weren't you?
think
Wasn't
that's part
your
of
nickname Lumberjack Princess?
it is. Yeah.
No, was it
And
is.
so but I mean, I think that's a part of being a woman is being humbled by the fact that no matter what, we cannot physically match the strongest of the other sex out there. We cannot. And so it's a part of an acceptance of being a woman and learning how to partner with men, because in a way we kind of have to rely on them sometimes for their physical might.
Yes.
And I'll say, like, I never bought into the idea that, like, okay, I'm not even saying there's lots of I'm a strong girl. Like, I'm stronger than a lot of guys out there, but I cannot meet the physical might of strong men. And so, like, if I'm in a burning building, I want a fucking man to come in and save me. I'm sorry. Like,
Yeah.
it's or a really strong woman, right? But like, let's not pretend like anyone can do the same job.
Yeah, that woman better be a beast that's coming to
Yeah.
save.
Yeah,
Save.
yeah, she better be a beast.
Oh God. All right, let's
And
move
I
on to the
also think
third
that-
wave.
Can I say one more thing? I think
Yeah,
that
go ahead.
partly it's a little bit dangerous sometimes. This ideology that women are just the same as men could potentially put women and other people in dangerous situations if they're kind of pumped up and they don't realize that they might not have the same strength. So
Question: Isn't like I'm not sure if it's in the military or in the police force or whatever, but aren't like the standards, like the testing standards for women less because they physically can't do as much as the men?
it would have to be. It would have to be.
Right? And how is that making me, being a bystander, feel any better?
I mean, I
Or
think there's lots
sir.
of things that women can do that would be, would match up, but definitely there
then
would
there's
be, I
other
imagine some
things.
things that they wouldn't be
Yeah,
able to
but
do. Yeah.
like you said with the like if you're in a burning building, right? Like I'm sure to be able to like be a firefighter or whatever, you probably have to pass some tests that you can, I don't know, climb as many stairs or whatever type shit, right? So it's like, is the women's standard less because then I don't feel safe that woman is coming in just to save me at all, like just for that reason.
Mhm.
I have
Yeah.
a friend who's a firefighter, and I'm going to ask him this question.
Yes, please ask him this question.
Well, I think all the standards have changed now. And what is a woman? So who knows,
Well,
right?
that's true. Yeah, make sure you ask him what a woman is first.
Yeah.
If I may,
Yes.
You may.
I'd like to reserve the right to come back to Betty Friedan towards the end of the episode. She's going to get roasted by Jamie.
Oh, all right.
All
We
right.
will make sure you roast that bitch. Okay.
Thank you.
All right. Let's third wave it, guys. Third wave. The third feminist variant started in the 1990s onwards. So this movement emerged in the early 1990s, and they focused on tackling problems that still existed, including, sexual harassment in the workplace and a shortage of women in positions of power. This one embraced the spirit of rebellion instead of reform. So third wave feminists encouraged women to express their sexuality and their individuality. I don't know why, but this wave, for some reason, reminds me of that video I posted today. We all know what video I'm talking about, which I believe was in France. Now, I don't know if it's an old video or a new video. I have no idea, but it was
The boobies.
The boobies, yeah. So it was with those crazy feminists protesting to stop sexualizing their titties by showing everyone
by showing their tits.
And I'm like, how dumb are these
Idiots.
bitches? Do they think for a fucking second while they dance and bounce around topless that any man is actually listening to a damn word that they're fucking chanting? Like, come on.
Dude, you can't even type the word, and I've done this a few times. You can't even type the word boobies on Twitter without men losing their minds.
Yeah, like I don't know how
honestly,
many men the comments
I'm going to
like,
tweet that out right now just to prove this.
But like,
Just
honest
to prove
God,
this.
I don't know how many men were in the comments. They're like, I have no idea what they're protesting, but I'm with them. And it's like, and then even one guy, he was like, if you turn the volume off, they're chanting my name. And I'm like seriously, like no one's listening to what you bitches are saying. None of these men are listening to what you're saying. Like if they really wanted to make an actual statement that maybe made some fucking sense about not sexualizing titties, maybe they should have brought like an army of breastfeeding mothers instead. Like I feel like that would have been much more effective.
100%. It's honestly the stupidest thing I've ever seen. I just tweeted out boobs. And so we're going to revisit this at the end of the episode to see where this is at.
Just the word boobs?
I love it.
Yeah.
It's fucking awesome.
And I promise you, just the word will send men crazy. They cannot focus.
They can't. Sorry, men. Jamie, weigh in here for a second. You're a man, right?
He's
right?
away from
the keyboard.
Oh, is he? Ah, shit. What the fuck, Jamie? So I kind of feel like this wave is kind of when the modern feminists, were really focusing on convincing women that, that hookup culture, using hormonal birth control, etc., stuff like that is what liberation is. And, just to say what I had said earlier, like, again, that the toxic masculinity is prevalent and that the patriarchy must be dismantled. Like, I see many people claim that the feminist movement was a scam. And like me, I agree. I know you guys agree as well. I saw one person had posted something saying that feminism was always a scam. Its focus was equality of outcomes and not equality of opportunity. And like I get that. So it's like, let's develop a movement encouraging women to feel empowered, viewing themselves just like men, which gets the other half of the population working and taxed, which also gets kids in schools or daycares, while also pitting women against men, destroying the family unit, where the kids are now being raised by the state's standards. Right? Like, and then you see it like constantly through movies, media. We're taught that working for the man, climbing the corporate ladder, paying taxes, that all these things are more empowering and valuable than raising the next generation.
And it's so like, empty.
Yeah. And it's like now we're at a point where women have lost touch with their natural loving instincts. Birth rates are plummeting. Like it's crazy.
I mean, they wanted depopulation, so
this was a way to get to that destination too. Yeah.
And
then also like no, go ahead.
I was just going to say that my mom, she stayed at home to raise my brother and I. So I really respect what her and my dad did to, live on one income. And we just had like the best family life. I loved my childhood. I have nothing but great memories. And our family is really close. And so you know, even though I had those values instilled in me and I wanted to be a mom, I was still brainwashed by the propaganda and the idea that in order to make something of myself, I had to be more than just, like I said before, like a baby factory, and try and establish a career. And so it's like, okay, well, I got to find out what I want to do with my life first. And what, you know, it's hard to like pick a meaningful job if you actually don't really want to fucking work.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
so, you know, like I really do feel like I missed out on um I'm a very compassionate person and I would have been a great mom, and I really bought into the idea that that it was bad for the environment to have kids. It was I wouldn't be able to afford it, and that, you know, I'm doing air quotes, but more than that. And I'm really upset by that I fell for it. And now, like, there's nothing I can do about it. Like, I'm a great auntie, and that's fine. But I can't believe how much I fell for it.
Yeah. It's sad. It's sad. They convinced
Yeah,
women, you know,
it is sad.
that this is what they wanted. It was never about ensuring women had the same opportunities. They had to convince them that not only, you know, to not only want those opportunities, but to actually strive, you know, to actually obtain them. How else were they going to get half the population working and their kids in indoctrination camps? Right? They had to push that hard, or else people wouldn't have been brainwashed, like you said, right? And then also by protesting equality, you know, of outcome rather than opportunity, feminists are also, you know, demonizing and emasculating men.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Yeah. And that's a real problem. So now I do renovations with my hubby. So I work in a very typically alpha male centric environment, and I've never experienced toxic masculinity. And in fact, if anything, I've experienced something like present day chivalry, I think. I'd say that my hubby experiences more toxic masculinity than I do, and even sends me into the local plumbing store for parts because they're nicer to me than they are to him. So,
Oh, wow.
you know, yeah, like I actually find that the let's say like the most alpha of men tend to be in like the more rough and tumble trades and stuff like that. And I've never experienced toxic masculinity there. And it's not to say that it doesn't happen, but I think if it was going to be anywhere, that is, I should have experienced at least some of it, and I never have. So
Yeah. Tammy, where are you at?
Yeah, so I feel like I was tricked also. I for sure fell for it. I spent like my 20s chasing like the best job, and you know, believing that I could, I did, but believing that the right thing to do for me was to work my way up the corporate ladder and, you know, blah blah blah, get the job and have the money and the things and whatever. And it was all really for nothing. And when I say really for nothing, I just mean it doesn't make you happy.
Yeah.
And I really, like, I guess since probably COVID, I've really started to reflect on a lot of that because, you know, I guess it didn't stop me from losing my dad. It didn't stop me from, you know, having different heartaches here and there. It doesn't make anything better. So I feel like I chased this, you know, dream, we'll call it, only to find out that it's not as glamorous as they made it out to be. And, you know, I also don't want to sound like I'm complaining. I have a really good job and stuff. But it's just not all it's cracked up to be. And honestly, if I had the choice tomorrow, to take a different path, I probably would have. You know, I joke and have made the jokes on a few occasions recently that, you know, I hope that eventually my company just pays me out. And if they do, I'm just going to go and I'm going to get a regular job that doesn't demand all of my time. And yeah, so that's, to me, I just feel like we've been tricked, and we were
100%.
sold this dream that is actually total garbage. If I could go back and tell my 20-year-old self that it was okay to find a guy that, made more than you, and you don't need to be the breadwinner, and all the things aren't what are going to make you happy, I would go back and tell myself that. I think too, because you had touched it on in the third, correct me if I'm wrong, Suze, but in the third wave, like the sexual harassment in the workplace too.
Yeah.
So I think that's a crock of shit too. So I'm not saying that like men should just go grab a woman's ass and stuff like that. Like for sure, there's a line that should not be crossed, but that's for anybody. So it shouldn't be women doing it to men. It shouldn't be men doing it to women or whatever. But we've gotten to a point now where men can't even make a joke. And honestly, I love joking. I don't care if men say within reason. I do not care if men say inappropriate things to me, because I know when a joke is a joke. And I work in an industry that is predominantly men. And so, and I've been in that industry since I was 18. So very, very long time now. So, I hear the jokes all the time and they don't bother me, but I see the looks on the faces of, the women that are, that have bought into this scam. And it's just really sad because a man can't even make a simple joke anymore. And it's so stupid.
I agree.
I was wondering what you girls thought about, and Jamie, do you think the hashtag #MeToo movement was a limited hangout?
Yep.
Sure do.
Because I don't.
That was also during the third wave, by the way.
Right.
Of course.
Yeah. Because I don't think it actually accomplished anything.
It didn't.
I think it was a Weinstein distraction.
Yeah.
Because it was around the same time both of those things were going down. And then they couldn't stop the Weinstein thing from happening, and then on top of other things. But yeah, it was not what it was meant to be, or portrayed to be.
Almost like a hopium thing. Like, look, we're doing something, but really it did nothing.
Yeah.
I
agree.
Like Me Too, but like Kathy O'Brien that was mentioned. Well, me and Tammy have talked about her, and Tammy talked about her on the Big Puff podcast. And yeah, Me Too, but when it comes to Kathy O'Brien, because she fingers or points out politicians, she doesn't count.
Right. Me too, but
Great
not
point.
you.
Yeah, me too, but not you. Yeah.
That was a great episode, by the way, Tammy. I listened to it today.
No,
So
thank
good.
you. It was so fun.
So good.
I could tell you were right in your element.
Oh my gosh, like talk conspiracy to me.
So many-
And something that I also think that we've gotten away from is the idea of meritocracy. Instead of equality of outcomes, I think we should be focusing on meritocracy. So if you merit the position, if you can do the work and you do it well, you deserve, to get credit for it. And this is something that we've really gotten away from. Like even when Joe Biden said, like, I'm the vice president's going to be a black woman. It's like, so you're just cutting out like a whole swath of great candidates just because it's supposed to be a black woman. That's not cool. It should be who has the best credentials. And so this idea, like, it's just such a terrible idea to get away from meritocracy and into this neo-Marxist sort of, no, we've got to raise certain people up because they don't get enough opportunity. Well, put in the fucking work. And if you deserve it, you'll get the job.
Exactly.
Just on that note, funny that you say that, because the City of London Fire Department recently did a post asking for trans women only.
Mm.
Oh my goodness.
I will
Mhm.
actually.
And then there's the pendulum swinging
that.
all the way around.
Exactly. So again, it's still currently in the third wave. A lot happened in the third wave, guys. So the third wave feminists, they also drew on the work of gender theory, including support for trans rights. And because they're feminists, rights for trans women specifically, right? So let's circle in the TERFs, which are us, apparently. The trans, activists, they like to call us TERFs, which stands for trans exclusionary radical feminism. So in other words, a transphobic bigot. That's what a TERF is. So here
Which
we
is
are.
funny because I'm so not a radical feminist,
Exactly, right? So here we are asked backwards, where women are actually losing their rights to men who claim to be women. And like just like you said, like the London whoever is hiring specifically trans women. So they're hiring men. That's what they're doing. They're hiring men.
Right.
Like what the fuck, right? And then I also heard a story about some military guy, I don't know if it was in the States, who decided to be trans, and they treated him like gold. Like he in all honesty, he was probably just like doing this because he knew that he would be treated like fucking gold. He got his own house to sleep in. He got a fucking raise. Like he was making more than the men, more than the women. So we fought for these equal rights, and now we're just losing them anyways to men who claim to be women. And then you got like the military or whoever, or the London Fire Department, that are so scared to be labeled a bigot. They cater to this fucking nonsense.
What a time to be alive.
Yeah.
I think that men telling women what being a woman is the ultimate mansplain.
Yes.
Yep.
I love being mansplained about being a woman. I fucking love it.
Yeah. Thanks. And I actually don't even like the term mansplain. I think there's a lot of times when men are like more object oriented, and so they do a good job of breaking things down and explaining it. And so that's kind of how their
agree.
mind works.
Yeah.
And
yeah, sure.
I actually appreciate a lot of the times when if my husband explains things, it actually clarifies a lot for me because I don't have that same sort of mechanism in my brain.
Mhm.
I agree.
Yeah, for
I
sure.
like men to be better. I just do.
I just do. I just like
Yeah.
them to be better.
I like them to be better than us.
Yeah, I'm
Like
okay
I
with
think
that.
it's a good thing.
I love
Be
my
stronger.
hubby. He's a man.
Yeah.
Yeah.
He's a
Be
man.
stronger.
He's
be
a
more
man.
effective.
He has a dick.
Yeah. Go back to the first episode.
He has a dick. Oh shit. Okay, that pretty much sums up the third wave. The fourth wave is pretty boring. It's basically present day, and it's simply a continuation of the third wave. With the added, internet has certainly led to a new brand of social media fueled activism. That's pretty much the fourth wave in a nutshell. Now, I did want to say one more thing. I had mentioned earlier, Ash, when you were kind of speaking to some of this, but there's all these different types of feminism, right? Like there's radical and liberal and the socialist and whatever. So there's this one type of feminism called the new feminism. So this group supports the idea that men and women have different strengths, perspectives, and roles while advocating for the equal worth and dignity of both sexes. But their basic concepts are that biological differences are significant and not compromise sexual equality. I agree. This group believes that women should be valued in their role as child bearers, and that women are individuals with equal worth as men, and that in social, economic, and legal senses, they should be equal while still accepting the differences between sexes. So like we said time and time again, for example, men are naturally physically stronger than women, which is a key reason why I don't want to share a fucking washroom with them. And then women are naturally more nurturing and gentle beings.
Mm-hmm.
Right? So that's kind of, I guess, where we maybe fall into new feminism.
I like that one.
I don't even want it to be called feminism though. Like
I know.
it's so embarrassing.
Yeah.
Okay, let's make a new name.
I'd
for
rather
it, right?
be like manism, where like we just like men. So
Yeah.
just
I love me some toxic masculinity.
Right? I'm okay with that. I'm okay with that.
Yeah, just don't be a
Jamie.
douchebag.
Yes.
Yes. How many rolls? How many rolls? How many joints you at now?
7.
7. Well, you take forever, man. You should be at
Yeah,
17 by now.
but I'm making a butter for you too.
A butter.
Yeah.
That's a female thing.
A weed
Men
butter.
don't
Well,
churn butter.
it's the manliest butter you've ever seen.
I can't wait for this manly butter.
That's right. Yep. Okay, can I smoke
yes.
this Betty girl right now?
Yes, I was gonna say you wanted to roast Betty. Let's roast that bitch.
Let's go back to wave 2 and our girl Betty over here.
fucking
So I
right.
don't even know how to pronounce her last name. Betty Friedan. Let's go with that. A couple
Sure.
things that the official narrative will leave out as far as who this girl was. So from 1938 to 1942, she went to Smith College, where that is, I don't know, somewhere in the States, right? But she was just like a just well-known, documented communist propagandist when she was there. Of course, commies are going to be involved in this, right? So while she was going there, like she was full blown, like red marching, blah blah. Communism is the way, like that type of thing.
Wow.
From 1946 to 1952, she worked for a newspaper called United Electrical Radio and Machine Workers of America, which I don't know, for some reason the acronym is UE, horrible acronym, but it was that newspaper and that like institution was labeled the largest communist-led institution of any kind in the United States at some point. Like I don't know if someone surpassed that by now, but at some point it was called that. To the point where in 1947 Congress targeted it, that institution, as a communist front, and like started like interviewing people from it, so membership started to decline and shit. And then in 1963 she wrote The Feminist Mystique, which is like the book that made her known as what the modern feminism's supposed founder or whatever. So when she wrote that book, nobody mentioned all those things prior to what I just mentioned. And then so fast forward to who, like the type of people she influenced. One example is like this professor called Allison Jagger or Jagger, I don't know, whatever you want to pronounce it. She wrote a book called Feminist Politics and Human Nature, and this girl was a big fan of our girl fucking Friedan over here. And a quote from her book, being a big fan of Friedan, quote from her book is, "A cornerstone of women's oppression. It enforces women's dependence on men. It enforces heterosexuality, and it imposes the prevailing masculine and feminine character structures on the next generation, as far as like the way males and females interact right now." So that's the type of people she influenced already in 1988. So then you enter all the usual suspects from family-wise that control the world, or whatever that a lot of people think control the world, like your Rockefellers, Carnegies, Rothschilds, blah, blah, Morgans. They looked at this movement and they were like, as it was happening, and scanned for reasons to amplify it. And amplify it they did. And as you mentioned, more people to tax when that was going down. The ones that were all into the industrial thing, they had more people on the assembly line. And then if you look at the Communist Manifesto, destruction of the nuclear family, get them away from the children and the families are going to crumble. All right, so fuck that bitch is the moral of the story.
Yeah, because Rockefeller started funding feminist campaigns in the media.
Yeah.
And, the kids started going to the schools that were also funded by the same people.
Yeah, and they use their newspapers from their homies to amplify the whole message. It's a whole thing of like amplifying a minority to make it seem like a majority.
Yes.
Yes, they are the fringe minority, but
it makes it seem like that's what the majority thinks, because it's in the newspapers, it's on TV as it was happening, and so fuck that bitch, and that's my roasting of her.
Fuck you, Betty.
Wow.
That being said, she died in 2006, so
I was just gonna ask if she was still alive. Good.
No.
Hey, so my friend who's a firefighter just got back to me, and women do have to do the same testing.
Oh, and they have to reach the same benchmarks?
Correct.
Okay.
Oh, okay. All right then.
Well,
At least for his
okay.
fire department, like,
So-
are all of them the same? I do not know.
So a beast will be coming in to save me, is what you're saying.
Right.
Okay, then I'm okay with that.
Everybody can sleep comfortably tonight.
Yeah.
Why don't you check that boobs post you put out?
Okay, so
What's going on over there?
we are. This worked
Almost
out.
liked it, but I thought it was a trap.
It was a trap.
It
was
is.
a trap, Jamie.
I didn't like it.
Okay, we are 23 minutes in. We've got 66 comments, 115 likes, 2.8 thousand impressions.
Stop.
And then so we'll do some of the responses. So Jack off 420. His response was a Leo DiCaprio meme that said, "You had my curiosity, but now you have my attention."
I love how you're calling out their handles, eh? You're like, yeah, I'm gonna call
yeah.
you guys out.
Flynn Zero, who I know listens to this podcast, wrote in all caps, "DMs are open."
Oh my god.
Attaboy.
Abigail Jordan, who I if you don't follow her, I absolutely love her. She's so funny. She wrote, "I'm gonna hate to see your DMs tonight."
She's not wrong. She's not wrong.
Pink Emo Slayer wrote 80085 and then the sunglass emoji face.
Nice.
Oh my God.
The old calculator trick.
The
Right?
Rubber Chicken wrote pictures or it didn't happen. You know the rules. And then Yan Savoy did a SpongeBob gif that is motorboating and ice cream.
Stop it. Stop. Okay, I'm commenting on it right now. And I'm writing. Guys,
The comments are amazing.
this was a test.
Oh,
And you all failed.
the response of the night. Who is this? I hope I follow him. Yes, I do. IT Nerd wrote, "I'll take things that make suckers out of men for 1,000, Alex."
Oh my god.
Yes.
Perfect.
Foo Dog wrote, "Is this an experiment?"
Oh, he's on to you. He's on to you. That's
Oh,
great.
so that's
Okay,
where we're
I
at.
quote
But
tweeted
you
it
can
too.
see it doesn't matter if you put boobs in front of a guy's face or you just talk about them. It's all the same, I think, to them. Jamie, maybe you could chime in on that.
Yeah, Jamie, I think was Jamie away from his keyboard at that time? When we
Yeah.
were talking about the
He
book?
was.
Whatever. Past that phase of my life, I know the traps. I know everything. I'm wise beyond
No,
that.
but there was a reason why we were talking about it. So I don't know if you noticed the video that I posted earlier today about those French bitches fucking bouncing around topless, and they're protesting to stop
All right. Yeah, I did see that earlier,
sexualizing
yeah.
their breasts while bouncing around topless, as if they think men are actually listening to what the fuck they're saying.
Right. Yeah, I don't know. To me, that's just dumb broads if I look at that.
Fucking stupid, exactly.
Right? Yeah. That would be like people, I don't know, protesting against fucking killing animals while wearing jackets made from animal fur.
Interesting.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, you're not wrong.
Mhm.
So we were kind of laughing about it because we were like, all of these girls protesting with their boobs out. No man is even listening to anything that they're saying because all they see is boobies.
Exactly.
And that's okay. In my opinion.
Yeah, sure, whatever. Oh boy. Well, any final thoughts regarding feminism lie scam that they've been feeding to us for like fucking almost 200 years?
I mean, it's a crock of shit. It's an embarrassment to sane women everywhere.
Yep.
It is okay that men are better at things than women. It is okay that they are stronger than women.
Mhm.
I think at the end of the day, the most important thing is that, you're respectful of one another and kind, and that you compliment each other.
I agree. And
those are my thoughts.
Jamie, any final thoughts from you?
Treat others how you want to be treated. The people that want to run this world are everything's an inversion. Like you said, more rights for women. They're giving jobs to men. the anti-fascists are fucking the most fascist people that I've encountered in the last couple of years. The Antifas, your Black Lives Matters, fucking white lives don't matter for them, and it's everything's inverted.
Yeah, absolutely.
Everything.
Even the EGIs are inverted. Sorry. I just went to my I just put my transvestigator hat on for like 5 seconds. Ash, any final thoughts from you on the feminist scam?
Well, I'll just say, like, yet again, I was duped. I'm resentful of it, and it has made me realize just how careful I have to be with the information that I take in, because a lot of this stuff that I internalized, I learned at university, so that's supposed to be the institution. And I know we've gone down the rabbit holes enough on university, but that's the institution that's supposed to teach you how to think. And I had no idea that it was actually teaching me how to unthink. Luckily,
or how to think like them.
Right. Luckily, I bought into some things, but not actually the divisiveness between men and women. I very much love men. I love my husband. I love his masculinity, and I love his his softer side too. Like, when you get to see that, that's like, it's really sweet, because it means something, right? Like, he can be tough when he needs to be, and he can be really, really sensitive and kind and loving, and I mean, that makes it even more special, because to see someone who could be like, if he wanted to be, he could be a monster. He's a big dude. He's thick. And like, just there's a real beauty in the ability to have grace, even as a beast. So I feel like we just need to keep questioning everything. And also, if there are narratives out there that are trying to divide, definitely question them even more, because we should not be doing that. We should be trying to get along. We should be trying to see our similarities or at least embracing our differences, and acknowledging them, and being okay with them. We don't have to all be the same. And this is the problem that we're seeing with like the communism that's creeping in, is they want you all to think the same. And that it started out with, oh, we're all individuals, embrace your weird. And now all of a sudden it's like, if you don't think like me, then you're the problem. So they will have no problem flipping the narrative and gaslighting you when it suits them. So just keep your own integrity, and question everything.
Yeah, absolutely. I
Well
wanted
said.
to say, like, just a quick message to like men in general, and especially like the young men, sane men that are out there, and men that maybe you're not sane, but get on board and become sane. This movement, a big part of it was to hate on men. And men do suffer from real issues, and these issues are commonly and purposefully overlooked. And then you got young men these days who feel invisible, like, if they transition, they're not invisible, but if they want to stay men, they're fucking invisible. And then you got people who try to speak to these issues that these men do legitimately have, and they get silenced, right? Like, a perfect example of that is Andrew Tate. Andrew Tate tried to shed light on this, and he was like, they came down on him hard trying to silence him, right? And they want to shed light and give the platform to people that are easily influenced, easy to control, so that they can then, like you said, spin them to that narrative of the type of person that they want everybody to be, right? So, like you said, yeah, like, speak against the narrative, keep speaking, keep, push forward, ask questions, and don't just fucking fall for whatever the hell they are trying to feed us, because it's most likely bullshit.
Yep.
And those are my final thoughts. Ash. Sorry,
Yeah.
what was that? What,
I was just gonna say, Lorena Bobbitt cut a dude's dick off, and everybody laughed. Just to add on to that dudes have real problems and should be taken seriously.
This is true.
That's actually really messed up. That just
yeah.
yeah.
Yep.
Now that you say it like that,
Mm-hmm. And everybody
that
laughed.
is really
Right.
fucked up.
Imagine us having a good laugh at some dude or a girl cutting the next girl's tits off or something. Ah, it's funny.
Yeah,
No,
like
it's
that
not.
would never happen. That would never happen.
It's not. But when that guy
Well,
got his dick
maybe.
cut off, everybody laughed.
Maybe some women these days would laugh, but you know.
True.
True. Those toxic women, they would laugh.
Yeah, that's a really good point.
Ash,
Yes.
you're up next, my friend. Any idea what we're talking about?
I certainly do know what we're talking about. So, in the middle of the old pandemic, when all the grocery stores had like no food, my hubby and I realized that we're out in the middle of nowhere and we have no idea how to actually get the food, even though we have lots of animals that we could be hunting around us or fishing.
Mhm.
We had no clue like how to go about doing that. So we just recently got our PALs, or our possession and acquisition licenses, to have firearms. And so I've been starting to learn a lot more about firearm rights, about hunting in general. And so I have invited a special guest on. Her name is Tracy Wilson, and she's the spokesperson for the CCFR, which is the Canadian Coalition for Firearm Rights. And we're going to talk about gun ownership and the government's attempts to clamp down on gun rights and property ownership, because there are new bills coming down the pipeline that are going after gun rights, and that's what it sounds like. But it's not just about gun rights; it's actually the Trojan horse for property rights. And so if you get that in with taking away people's property in the form of firearms, that will eventually extend to other types of property. And so Tracy has been very vocal on this issue as well as others. So I thought we could have a good conversation with her about, you know, what's going on, and just, you know, have like question her on like what can we be doing, what should we be doing, and yeah, I'm actually pretty excited about it.
Yeah, that's definitely something we don't want them to push forward, because then we will own nothing and we will not be happy.
No.
Is that how the saying goes? I can't remember.
You will own nothing and you will be fucking miserable.
Is he dead yet?
If I own
dead?
nothing,
Is
they
he
will
dead
be
yet?
fucking miserable.
He's in the hospital.
Who?
I don't know
Schwab?
if that's true.
Oh,
Oh,
Or-
Swabby
yeah,
boy.
Supposedly in the hospital.
allegedly, yes.
Allegedly.
Mm-hmm.
Hopefully, he's gone and that carbon has been reduced.
Yeah, but like
Ooh.
someone posted, was it Wabbit? You know, if that happens, I'm sure they got someone else lined up to take his place.
Oh yeah.
That's a
Yeah.
good point.
This is a huge entity.
That
Yeah.
Noah Uvari guy or whatever the fucking
Noah
that guy, yeah.
Yuval Harari. Yeah.
Yeah, the guy that writes books about fucking what is it, transhumanism and shit. But yeah.
Oh my gosh, we're doomed.
We are fucking doomed. Well, ladies and Jamie, this has been a fantastic chat about this 200-year-old lie, almost 200 years, I'm just rounding up, that we've been sold. It's always a blast chatting with you bigots. Fucking bigots. I hope everybody enjoyed. We will see y'all next week with our special guest. And I'll catch you next time. Bye, everybody.
Bye.